Okay, so this guy completely wasted $140 million trying to become president of the United States. His name is Jeb Bush. He was the governor of Florida, brother to President George W. Bush and son of President George Bush. And he was supposed to be the next president of the United States, where the media kept on hyping this guy up, but his campaign was a complete and total dud. So I'm just wondering what the hell ruined him. Crazy is, in the Bush family, a lot of people thought George Bush actually preferred Jeb Bush to be the person to run for president in 2000 over George W. Bush, because George W. Bush had a lot of problems in his personal life, like drug abuse and DUIs. The problem was, in 1994, when Jeb Bush ran for governor of Florida, he lost the election to Lawton Childs, who was the governor at the time, by a very narrow margin of just 2 points. Meanwhile, that same exact year, George W. Bush would become governor of Texas, defeating incumbent Governor Ann Richards, who was a Democrat, and he actually beat her by a solid margin of around 9 points. Because that, even though Jeb Bush did go on and win governor of Florida in 1998, he wasn't really seen as somebody as a strong presidential candidate in 2000, and that ultimately went to George W. Bush, who was a 2-term governor at the time, and he won becoming president, which really put Jeb Bush in George W. Bush's shadow. In 2005, a lot of people actually thought Jeb Bush was going to run for president in 2008 because Dick Cheney announced right after they won re-election in 2004 that he was not going to run in 2008, so because that, many thought Jeb was the successor. Honestly, for a little while, that was looking like a good idea because Jeb Bush was actually a popular governor in Florida. He had a 62% approval rating, which is good. He was also reelected by 14 points, so a lot of people thought he was going to be the successor in 2008. The problem was, due to Iraq, the visible housing bubble that was booming, and all these other issues going on with George W. Bush, he only had a 28% approval rating, which was the lowest in 50 years, so because of that, Jeb Bush opted not to run because of the association. That was Jeb Bush's first mistake, and that's that after he left office as governor of Florida in 2006, he didn't do anything, where he's offered the chance to run for U.S. Senate in 2010 instead of Marco Rubio, but he turned it down. And then in 2009, he was almost named commissioner to the NFL, but he turned it down. When he ran for office in 2016, he was out as governor for 10 years. People really forgot about him, and they just knew him as George W. Bush's little brother. When he announced he was running, everything was off, including the slogan, which was called Right to Rise. The reason Jeb Bush said he picked that name was because of Paul Ryan, who started this economic movement called the Right to Rise from Poverty. But nobody took it that way, and honestly, I think Jeb Bush was aware of the double meaning of him being the son and brother to a president, so he thought it was his right to be president. Then his next slogan was just as bad, Jeb can fix it, which tried to make him seem like the everyman, but it just made Bob the Builder jokes. His campaign was just uninspired, where he raised $130 million, all coming from big corporate donors, where 28 people donated $1 million each. But then his biggest problem was this: people always tried to make him seem like he was the smarter Bush or some sort of academic, despite going to a worse college than his brother and having no PhD, which made him unlikable. People call W dumb. Unlike Jeb, he was likable, which we can see from this clip right here from a 2000 primary debate.
One language rather than a nation linguistically divided.
Governor.
No es la verdad.
Es la verdad, es la verdad, señor.
I did talk to
Es
our...
totalmente la verdad.
Un momento.
Jeb Bush's biggest problem: he focused his life on trying to seem like the smart brother, but not the likable one like George W. Bush did, and that's why Bush won. But with that, I'm Charles Pearl, Red, Blue, and you. Subscribe to learn something.